What's going on, goons and goblins? We are here testing out our new microphone. My Christmas. Now you can hear all my screw ups very clearly. My Christmas and anniversary gift from Vanessa. So we're gonna test it out in this video. And what better way to do that than with the Spider-Man movie tier list? Because Spider-Man No Way Home, one of the most hype movie of all time, I think, will be out in a little bit over a week now. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and
stop knocking this cord.
Oh yeah, see, that's the thing. We got to be very careful. This is a tester, so sorry if the audio is bad or too quiet, too loud,
worse
whatever.
Than what it already was. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so we're just working out the kinks with that. So bear with that. And yeah, Vanessa says that she doesn't really remember the specific plots of some of these. I don't either, but we're just gonna kind of go off of our best initial knee-jerk thought with some of these.
Maybe we'll revisit this. I plan on rewatching as many of these as I can before we see the new one.
We gotta get.
So maybe we'll revisit this with more, not quite as much thought that we put in, like, because he takes notes when we know we're gonna film something. So probably not as much as that, just off the brain refresher type of thing, but. Maybe. We'll see.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to see No Way Home, like, right whenever it comes out. But at the same time, tickets are going crazy right now, and it's going to be so crowded. So I don't know when we'll actually get around to seeing it. So we might very well have time to watch all of these before it comes out, even though it's just going to be like a week from now. So let's start off, of course, with Sam Raimi. The meme movies, the legend, the Spider-Man 1. So obviously, I think that this movie suffers from being a little bit cheesy, a little bit, not too good on the special effects, of course, because it's 20 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it still has. It's tough to say if, like, nostalgia as a factor is, like, a good reason to put it high, because, it's not like if I had seen, let's say, like, Amazing Spider-Man 2 back in 2002 or whatever. Then maybe it would be an S for me when it's really not, that good of a movie. But just because of the nostalgia, it's kind of tough. But I think all three of the Sam Raimi movies went through good storylines and had good feels and everything for them. Anyway, so yeah, it's just special. I can't put it lower. I think I'm having a hard time with my mouse now. Jesus,
just let me do it.
I think I'm gonna put it in an A. For sure. Yeah, I know people pick on the Green Goblin in this one being like a little bit cheesy, but Willem Dafoe is still great.
Willem Dafoe.
As the Green Goblin. So yeah, it's an A for sure. And then...
Damn, I guess I don't get to talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just didn't know how much you could even remember.
Well, the Sam Raimi movies are... I don't know what to say. I was obsessed with these movies, specifically two, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Obsessed is, like, not even the word that my family would use for this. Like, I'm pretty sure I watched these Spider-Man movies 1,000 times plus. I watched them all the time. Anytime my cousin said, let's watch a movie, I was getting out this disc, and I was like, this is the one I want to watch. Not this one, the second one, but I watched all three of them a lot, but those were the three that I watched a lot. So nostalgia plays heavily, and even when we did rewatch these, a year and a half ago maybe?
Probably. Yeah.
I still really enjoyed them, but of course I pointed out a lot of the flaws. Like, there's one point where, not in this one, but MJ, or maybe it is in this one, I don't know. MJ's swinging with him, and he's a dummy, and it's very obvious that he's a dummy. Yeah. He's very stiff, and but still, I mean, it did
so
what
many
it
good memes and
had
stuff
to do back then. So, I think I would put it in S, but like barely S, like right in between. So I would say that this is probably a good place to put it.
Yeah, I would say kind of in between, probably for me too as well. Yeah. It's just because I guess we're skipping ahead of Spider-Man 2, I think it's better than the first one, so that's why I would say, and I would leave S open for that, and that's why I did that. But But yeah, I remember something specific about Spider-Man 1, actually, now that you bring up when you used to watch it. I know my dad always tells the story in the movie whenever Peter gets bit in the theater by the spider. I got scared and I got up on his lap because it scared me because it zooms in on the bite and it was really loud.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, but also after that, of course, I was obsessed. So my family got me the gauntlets it had like a can of like silly string, but I was scared to put them on because I thought there was a spider in there that was gonna bite me.
Oh.
So I was kind of like, I wanted to act like, oh yeah, thanks, whatever, excited for it, but at the same time, I didn't want to show that I was scared.
I did just get a flush of like remembering every single fucking detail about this movie, I swear. But it's
so many classic lines from it. Honestly, people just quote them. I see in my feed all the time because I watch a lot of like Spider-Man joke stuff, So
I remember in the first one that a lot of people don't actually realize, like, when he wakes up and he realizes, like, I don't need my glasses, I'm fucking buff, like, what's going on? He's looking in the mirror. There's a point where he like pulls his pants out and he's like, oh, nice. Yeah. Basically,
people have combed through these movies so hard. I've seen just a lot of funny edits out there, man. There's one where fucking Peter comes barreling down the stairs how he does, and they edit it so he kicks Ben in the face whenever he comes down. I love it. And that's with all three of them, really, but the first two, I think, even more so. Well, no, there's some stuff in 3 as well for the Raimi movies. But all right, so moving on to the Spider-Verse movie. Now, I will praise this movie for the animations. I've really sat down twice and tried to really watch this movie and get into it and understand. I think this is the Spider-Verse, actually, yeah. But it didn't sit with me like it does everybody else. Whether that because I'm just not really a fan of cartoons primarily, or I don't know. But the emotional impact that this story tries to tell, it just never really hit me the way it hit other people. But I can see the animations being impressive and all of that. But that's about it. I know they're making a second one, but I'm not hyped on it like I feel like the majority of people are. So this one's tough. What do you think about it?
Like right in between maybe like a C and a B. Like it was I enjoyed watching it, but like you said, it was like sitting down and watching it was the hard part,
Yeah. I didn't even watch it through like the first time. I was just kind of like...
Yeah, it's just... I think it would be closer to C, but I'm not saying that it was bad. Mm-hmm. But it just... I prefer a live-action Spider-Man. There is just something about it that's better than a cartoon. No offense to the whole Miles Morales thing. I'm not racist, but live action's just better. It just is.
She's a racist. Don't let her fool you.
Only on Tuesdays.
Only on Tuesday. It must be Tuesday every fucking day then. No, she's obviously she's with me. I'm mixed, or I'm just her cover up. Let's see. We never have sex.
That's okay, yeah.
No, so okay, yeah. I know a lot of people really love this movie. This movie was one of our first choices when we first got together too. Actually, if you remember, that we could have seen it. It was in theaters at the time. The Spider-Verse movie. But yeah, so just didn't hit me like it did everybody else. And then we have The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I definitely think is probably the worst component-wise out of all of these, because
I can agree with that.
It did a very strange thing, which everybody knows the problem with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 was too many villains, and they did even more in this one. And I think that this was around the time that the Avengers came out for Marvel, and they were trying to rush to have like a big cinematic thing like they did maybe, but you just can't rush that. And then also the Green Goblin, like, I did not like that character. Some of that shit was really strange to me, story-wise. And Electro, I guess I liked him. I didn't really like the look of him all that much. I mean, I know people pick on that, and I'm kind of in between, because I get he was supposed to look like an electric eel maybe, but they changed him in the upcoming Marvel movie for a reason. I think it'll sit. This movie will probably sit even better after seeing the the No Way Home coming out though, because it's gonna maybe fix some things from that, right?
Right, like our nitpicking won't be an issue anymore, basically.
Yeah. And they did the Gwen Stacy death in this one, which was pretty brutal for a comic book.
And I appreciated
movie.
that.
Yeah, that they had the balls.
You don't realistically always get happy ending, and then they're starting to play more into that now with newer Spider-Man. Of course, we had Uncle Ben in the first one, but if you've seen the trailers, you see everybody talking about how what do they say? They say it so specifically that the new Tom Holland Spider-Man Peter Parker, he's gonna suffer a great loss, and it's part of the whole Spider-Man storyline. And I mean, no loss is easy, but you gotta. That one really hit. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed just the way that she died, I guess. But it's still, I was really shocked to see it because I did see it in the theater, and I was not expecting it in the slightest. I don't know how it plays out in the comics or whatever.
It's just like that.
But
it's just like that. Pretty much.
I really enjoyed that. I did. So, but for me, what I was telling Torian before we started filming this was that I don't think that there's any of these movies are going to be in D tier for me, just because Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and there will not be another superhero that I love as much as Spider-Man. So I think it's going to be C for me because of, like you said, I do know that they were rushing it, and I did actually enjoy the first Amazing Spider-Man, but the second one wasn't as good. So for me, it's going to be a C.
There was just too much stuff in there that was too poorly set up, too big ambitions. I did like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield's chemistry, and it really worked. However, they apparently were dating in real life, so I think that kind of is a little bit of a cop-out, right? But, so I'll say C. This is going to be tough. I'm going to skip to Amazing Spider-Man for this one because personally, I guess you won't be in the same boat. Even though Amazing Spider-Man is messy, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I mean, I would way rather watch 2, I think, before I would watch 1 again, actually, I think. And it's because, I'll tell you one big reason that turned me off from the Amazing Spider-Man 1 when I saw it in theaters. When I was a little kid, I didn't know why this was. At the time, I know now, but the way that the web swinging and the action was done was all practical. None of it was special effects. So it looked just kind of boring. It was boring because they were trying to make it more realistic. They were going with realism. His whole suit, was supposed to be stuff that he could just find in his room, which is cool. And the web swinging too, how it would realistically look, but it doesn't change the fact that it's cool to do, but it's boring to watch. And they actually, right off the bat with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they open up with a scene that's, pretty much it's all CGI. He's fucking way up in the sky, soaring and shit, which is fun, visually, enjoyable to watch, of course. I believe it was special effects. So yeah, this one is just, man, it's kind of fucking boring for me. I think it was cool to see the more of the backstory about his parents and having a little bit of dark side there with them being the scientist and everything. I thought that was cool, and I did like his relationship with his aunt and kind of being a little bit more of a snarky teen, having to learn things about himself, not to be more responsible in his own life. I mean, we had that in the Raimi movies kind of, but I think it worked a little bit better with him.
And his personality.
Yeah, the way he played Spider-Man, the way Andrew Garfield played Spider-Man. But yeah, this one's just kind of fucking boring. All the action in it for me is mostly fucking boring. I mean, just visually for me. But I don't know, you liked it more than 2, right?
When I first watched it, I didn't enjoy it, and it was selfish of me to say that because the reason that I didn't watch it was me being a little girl in love with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And then seeing Andrew Garfield, it wasn't. I was disappointed because it wasn't Tobey Maguire, even though I knew that going in. It just it didn't hit me the same basically, and I was expecting the same rush of emotions and feelings, I guess. But that's never gonna happen because it's not the same anything. Besides the suit, similar, but I mean, it's just not the same. So I didn't like it when I first watched it, but I enjoyed the hype that I had going to see it because of the gap between Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 1. I was just excited to see any Spider-Man, like, in the theater again, basically. You know what I mean? Like, my favorite Spider-Man, I thought there was going to be no more, and then they're like, hey, we're doing it again. But I did, when I rewatched, I realized that I actually enjoyed it more than I thought. I actually enjoyed the practical effects of the web slinging because Andrew Garfield really, like, physically did well. Like, the way that he moved his body and stuff. Like, even me and my mom, when we first watched it, she pointed it out how he really was, like, flexible with his movements and stuff. Very spider-like almost.
Yeah, I think he did
he did a good job. And the thing is that Tobey Maguire, he did good as Spider-Man. I'm not saying that he wasn't. It's not just all nostalgia, but it's like 85% nostalgia. Yeah. I think Andrew Garfield did really good personality and physical-wise. Like, he really, like you said, it was that real snarky teenager, and he played it so well. And then I guess I'll talk about Tom Holland when we get there. But, I don't know. I think I would put it in B or C. Like, they're not awful movies. They just are not on the same spectrum as the other ones, I guess. But I do. I put them in C loosely. Like, it's only because they're not. Like, my B in real life is like A, and my A is S, and S is S++. Like, it's.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Everything is so heavily scaled here.
Yeah.
So it's C for me, but not because it was bad. It just wasn't as good. It was just okay.
Yeah. I agree. A lot of people like to point out, too, that they could have done more with the lizard in this movie to bring him a little bit more, depth to his character. And I can see that as well, because they could have humanized, like, it had the ingredients to have him, like, be another Doc Ock where he's, good but bad, but they kind of just didn't really cash in on that. So yeah, it's kind of boring to me, I think. And then we got Spider-Man 2, obviously, absolutely legendary. Everybody agrees. One of the best superhero movies of all time. And I tell you what, it's because it's a good villain, of course, Doc Ock, where that's why he's, the fucking poster child of the new one coming out, because he has the good human side and the bad side too, from getting taken over by the things. And Alfred Molina is a great actor. Mm-hmm. But something that all three of the Raimi movies have, man, and it's just from Raimi's touch, I'm sure, it's that certain feel in the dialogue, the cheesiness, but it's just a certain feel, and this obviously just oozes with it.
It's cheesy, but still realistic. Like, it's a conversation that you could expect to happen, and it feels natural and it's real. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's just that. It's a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, and I think he oozes that even more in 2 and 3 than he did in the first one, I believe. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It feels like a 2004, movie, obviously, but yeah. Also, something I was going to say, I find it interesting that the two villains that they had set up at the end of the Raimi movies that they were setting up the lizard, because you see the Dr. Connors in the Sam Raimi movies. And so obviously they were setting him up. And then the Vulture was actually, whenever they were doing the Spider-Man, Sam Raimi, the fourth one, the Vulture was actually going to be the main villain in that one. And then they did the Vulture for the new reboot here, so with Tom Holland, but yeah, so no question about it. The biggest thing everybody fucking talks about, I don't know if you've heard about it with this movie, the criticism, Doc Ock should have been dead because Spider-Man's super strong and he's beating the shit out of him and he's just a human with claws. And I always tell myself, it doesn't bother me, because I always tell myself, well, Peter doesn't want to kill him, so I mean, you can pull your punches, I mean, he can.
You're really just trying to immobilize them. Like, you're not trying to fucking kill him with your punch.
Yeah, maybe he's not hitting him with full force. Just like whenever he gives Aunt May a hug, he's not fucking just squeezing the life out of her like he could to a fucking brick wall or something. You know what I mean?
I've never seen that. I've never heard that issue before. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Octopus's story is just fabulous. It's just chef's kiss. I mean, his development as a character, the way that it ends with the whole like self-sacrifice thing, like it's just, but it's because like you said, he's got the good and the bad side, because the bad side isn't really him. So it's.
Mm-hmm. And again, so many quotable lines out of these movies. It's. I wonder how it's going to be having their dialogue. Right. Yeah. That's just one of like 100. But how's it going to be having the Raimi characters' dialogue in the Marvel universe now? You know, and not have that little touch on it. You know, hopefully they're still just as good as we remember. I mean, they will be for the nostalgia, right? But they need to have Raimi in on this. Like, okay, I'm going to write the lines for them. And then we move on to...
Wait, I wasn't done talking about Spider-Man 2. That's my favorite. I played Spider-Man 2 on the PS2 for like 10 years straight, and I still have it, and I still would enjoy playing it. It's just now I've been so spoiled with graphics, it hurts my eyes to play old games for extended periods of time, but this movie and the game, and it's just all so like perfect. There's just no other word. It's a perfect movie for me. Like, and everything bleeds into the game really well. So I mean, even in the game, you could choose side quests of delivering fucking pizzas, and you can't like do too many tumbles, which is faster for you because then it'll ruin the pizza and they won't take it. It's just. This Spider-Man 2, I've seen it at least 1,000 times. There's no fucking way that I haven't. I literally watched it all the time. Mm. It's so good, and what's strange is it doesn't suffer from that sequel's curse where it's just fucking awful.
Worse than the last, yeah. No, it just gets even better.
It just got so much better.
Which is pretty hard to do because, of course, the first one was good, but yeah, and then this one was even better. I don't think that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie was the first Spider-Man movie ever, but first quality one with any good effects, I think. So yeah, so really good. Let's see. And you get his whole journey there, losing his powers too. You know, they keep it interesting there. So then 3, I think that this one obviously got so much hate back in the day. For being overcrowded, which I think it was.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I mean, it's not an arguable thing. It's a fact.
However,
there's a lot going on.
However, I think that the way they wrapped it up was good. What he did with what he had, because I heard that Raimi was forced to put in more characters than what he wanted to. I forget who he just wanted. I know he didn't want to do fucking Venom yet. He wanted to save him for like the 5th movie.
Interesting.
But I forget. Maybe he just wanted to do the Sandman, and that was it, honestly. But it tells, if you really break it down and look at it, it tells so many different threads well, or it's on so many good threads, and I think they all web together. Okay, web together, haha, right? But no, so you get, Harry and Peter's story coming full circle where, he tries to, he saves Peter, and Peter, but he ends up dying in the process. Harry does, coming full circle there. It's a real redemption story with Peter and Venom bringing out his bad side and having to come in good with, Mary Jane. There's just so many good elements in him having to forgive Flint Marko, which is huge because that's, a story that was set up all the way back in the first movie.
Yeah.
So, I didn't want these movies. I would have liked for them to continue, of course, but I do think that this wasn't a bad bookend because, like I said, that story from the first movie wraps up there.
Like, imagine if Sam Raimi had the time to split this movie up into 2, maybe 3 parts and take his time with them. I mean, fuck. It would have been so good, and they're not bad by any means. It's just obviously the Sam Raimi trilogy is just so high tier that you kind of have to nitpick on some of these things, and it was loaded. Yeah. When we rewatched it, we were like, yeah, this is pretty fucking loaded. There's a lot going on, but like you said, for having left a shit on your doorstep, you really put a nice little bow on it, and It always ends so strangely because there's someone else wanting to pick it up and do something else with it. You're like, you need to get it over with so we can start it. And
this movie went in way too hard. I know that's always probably one of the weirdest things whenever I watched this. Even as a kid, it really didn't take up time to let the story breathe, set it up. It's setting up like boom, 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 this, we're in it, right off the bat when it needed more time to breathe. I think this movie could have benefited from like maybe 30-minute longer runtime. I don't know how long it is, but that you can put movies out pretty fucking long. I'm pretty sure No Way Home
is like 2.5 hours.
3 hours, yeah. So it just needs
and
more
I said that it better fucking be that long, because if it's not, then I'm gonna feel rushed. I know that I am. There's no way you're gonna introduce all 3 Spider-Mans and have it a regular, which I would still consider a short movie length, an hour and a half. No way.
Yeah. But so, yeah, when this movie could have just told a basic comic book, throwdown story, I think what this does well versus even what some Marvel movies do, I think it tells really in-depth character stories as well. They just need a little bit more time to breathe. We could have had something good here. I don't know what Raimi had originally envisioned, but I think since this ended up being the last one, I'm glad that he got in all the different stuff that they did for this. I think it's aged a lot better. I'm probably going to say a B.
I was thinking like right in the middle.
Yeah, but it can't stay there. So
A and a half, B and a half.
B and a half, yeah. So, yeah. Oh, that's something I hated when I was a fucking kid too, and I still don't really like it all that much though, especially since it was the last movie, was the ending. When Peter and Mary Jane are just kind of like, in that state that you can be in as a couple where you're just like, I don't know if I don't know what we're doing, but I love you at the end of the day, so I guess that's what it was. I don't know. I really hope that we can get some confirmation where their relationship went.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Because they went fucking hard with him. I mean, he punched her or something or threw her back, and that's kind of why they broke up. But I don't know if she knew it had anything to do with the suit. I don't know, but I remember that ending was so underwhelming. I was like, what the fuck, I wanted them to get back together, but at the same time, he's telling a realistic plot and a deeper plot, because that's just how life is sometimes, you don't always get that happy ending. It's just kind of like, like I said, you still love each other, so you're still there, but it's tough right now, and I guess it would have been unrealistic to just let all that go. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a lot. I can't imagine being a partner to someone and having to go through that, not know something, and then have to go through something physically like that,
Yeah, it's just a lot. But yeah, so we're getting a second chance to touch on that in No Way Home, though, so let's go. I haven't heard anything about Kristen Dunst being in it, though, but Kirsten, but I've also heard that they could continue the Raimi movies, maybe.
I have heard that as well. That would be exciting. Sam Raimi is a really great director. I mean, he, even with other movies, not just Spider-Man, he just does good. But you can tell it's his. There's just something. It's like it's a charismatic thing. I don't know how he leaks through on these movies, but he really does.
Yeah, some writer or some directors or whatever just have that touch, like Quentin Tarantino for sure. Mm-hmm. Type thing. And then we get this one, the most forgettable, other than maybe the fucking what do you call it, the multiverse cartoon one. Name slips me now. Spider-Verse. This one is just, I think, for the most part, the most bland. I said this one was bland, but this is just forgettable. It just was pretty basic, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
Who was in that one?
This is Homecoming. This is the first Tom Holland movie. They had the Vulture was the villain. If that's what you're asking.
I don't remember it.
Yeah, pretty much same. Coming of age story, but the problem here is having a Spider-Man for the first time in the Marvel realm, where they can be a little bit jokey sometimes, a little bit lighthearted. And, of course, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. brings a lot to mentoring him. And I think that relationship is obviously fantastic. Mm-hmm. They had a few dark moments, I remember. There's one time when he's under the rubble and he's buried. They really run that homecoming in this. That he's just a kid, kind of playing above his league, which I don't think that you really get with the other Spider-Man because they're.
Is that the one where he says, if you're nothing without the suit, you shouldn't have it? That's a good line. I do.
Yeah.
And I don't read the comics or anything, but I know a little bit about the Spider-Man comics. Probably the only ones that I know. And I know that in the comics, he is supposed to be young, and he is supposed to be irresponsible and foolish and not having a lot of life knowledge or wisdom. And I think that although Tom Holland isn't that young in real life, but he looks it, I think he does a pretty good job of playing that character. Mm-hmm. Then, like I said, each Spider-Man touches on the Spider-Man personality in a different way, and I think they all did great. So for that, I do enjoy the Tom Holland movies. And once again, thinking that I'm not going to get another Spider-Man movie, it's always exciting to see the first one come back into the theaters, and bet your ass I was there watching it. So I do remember liking it. By any means, I did not like any of these. Mm-hmm. But it was a little forgettable. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think Tony Stark.
A lot of that movie.
Yeah, Tony Stark, obviously, I think carries it for me a good bit. It's just kind of a generic, again, Marvel movie. It's not its fault. We've just seen so many of them. The Vulture, I don't really remember him at all as a villain. We're going to get more from him. He's crossing over into the Morbius movies, the Living Vampire, the Sony, verse, I guess, the Venom universe. He's going to be in some of those. They set up the Scorpion as a villain in this, but we still, surprisingly, we're missing a villain for the Sinister Six in No Way Home. So I wonder if they're going to have the Scorpion or Venom, because Venom crossed over in the Venom 2 post-credits. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, I'm just wondering who the sixth villain, and that would be counting even if Dr. Ock is on the Sinister Six side, which I really don't think he's going to end up being on their side.
I think he is, because the issue that is at play here is Doctor Strange is saying their fate is to be ended by Spider-Man in one way or another. So if it comes down to, live or die, they're all going to fight. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have a choice. And same with Peter Parker. That's the only reason he's going to do it, because they say that the reason that, everything fucks up is that he tries to fuck with Doctor Strange's, spell or whatever, because he doesn't want to have to kill them or end them or send them back or whatever. He just is trying to chill, and he ends up fucking it all up because you don't have a choice. I mean, fate is what it is, and Doctor Strange tries to explain that to him, but maybe that's his, kid stubborn personality coming through, where he thinks that he can just change the laws of not physics but the universe and just do whatever he wants and it'll work out in the end. But that's what people speculate anyway, that they have to fight because they don't have, it's either that or they die, and they could possibly live if they fought and won, is what I'm piecing together here. I don't know, but
so many whole scripts out there, fan scripts people have written about this movie, honestly. But so yeah, this one's kind of tough because it's not bad, it's not really just great, it's just okay. Like I said, a lot of it is carried by Iron Man. I mean, he's on the fucking poster, and his relationship with the kid. I didn't really like Zendaya as MJ, still don't really. She just kind of sarcastic and dryness. Doesn't really work for me with her relationship with Peter. I don't really like it.
I don't really feel like a whole lovey-dovey relationship. I feel like they're more of like the weird, awkward pals who maybe have subdued feelings for each other but never, ever do anything about it.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I mean, Zendaya is cool, but for this role, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like these are kind of sadly low, but
I would put B and a half, C and a half, right in the middle.
I don't know. I'll just leave it there. Whatever. We kind of just gave our thoughts on it. And then Homecoming. You know what? I actually surprisingly enjoyed this one a good bit.
I was gonna say the same thing.
I wasn't too excited to see it, but it's the aftermath of Endgame, and you get to see him take up the mantle, try to as Iron Man, and go through the motions of that with Happy, and I like that. And then I really there's not too many Marvel, I think, villains that stand out in my mind. in the grand scheme of things. But I really enjoyed Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
Me too.
I didn't know fuck all about Mysterio. But his power was really cool. His plan was really cool. I enjoyed the fight scenes with that.
I love that they weren't enemies right off the bat. That they were friends at first. Quote friends, but the whole fucking drone thing. It was really cool.
Yeah,
it was very different, but different not in like a weird. I wasn't expecting it. Weird in a very good way.
Yeah, I like how it ties into Iron Man's story too. Even with Jake Gyllenhaal, Iron Man's still there even though he's not there. So yeah, and then what it sets up for the next movie, obviously, I thought this one was pretty strong.
And I like the ending a lot too. That was a real good cliffhanger. Because obviously all of the heroes are put on this, pedestal. They're all helping each other, and that's realistic with media nowadays to just have the script just completely fucking 180 on you. This next movie is gonna be so good.
Yeah, I know. Poor Andrew Garfield movies, man. I like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, man. He really is passionate and excited about the role, but yeah, you just can't top the Tobey movies and you can't top the character, the dialogue in the Tobey movies and the nostalgia, and you just can't top the quality of the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
and this one is just kind of like whatever. If I could get rid of it, I would. And so yeah, you just kind of fall to the bottom, I guess, buddy. I mean, it's not to say I wouldn't sit down and at least watch this one if it came on, or because I probably would. But this one, again, it's just kind of like I was just underwhelmed with it. Wasn't bad, wasn't good. It was just
like I said, I think all the Spider-Mans bring something very unique to the table, and it really, really helps them throughout their story progression and how they play the role. I think it's all different in a very good way. I don't think any of these movies are bad in any way. Some just don't compare, like the fucking S tier Spider-Man 2. If anything, it's one of my all-time favorite movies ever. Like, I do feel bad for Andrew Garfield Spider-Man because I enjoyed the movies. I did. I liked them. They just...
Yeah.
Just not it's incomparable, not the same quality. I don't know. Yeah. There's not really too much to say on it.
Yeah, Venom. I was just saying, Venom was done very poorly in this too. By the way,
what? Let any of that get on you.
Yeah, I like that line. But yeah, Venom was done so fucking poorly. If you watch the newer Venom movies and how he's supposed to be, Topher Grace's Venom was just kind of like it was very strange. Also, something about this, I really liked how they used the Vulture storyline in Homecoming to kind of branch off from Avengers. The Battle of New York is where he gets his tech from or something like that. And I liked it at the time, but now I'm a little bit over it because in almost not every Marvel thing, but they've used that, which is, I guess, one thing because it was the first big, boom. The Avengers, they make themselves prominent in New York, but they've used that fucking Battle of New York so many fucking times in the Marvel story at this point to branch off from. They just did in the Hawkeye series we watched. They did in this. They did in Endgame. They go back to it.
I mean, I get it. It was a major event.
Yeah, I get it. And yeah, it worked in Endgame for sure. You had to go back to the start. But yeah, it reminds me of American Horror Story, how they do Murder House. They keep going back to it. But yeah, it's just something that crossed my mind. But yeah, we could keep talking about this, but I think we pretty much covered the basics, Don't want to make it run too long. This was one big drawn-out mic test anyway. So yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully we will be putting, I don't think there's any way that we wouldn't, but hopefully Spider-Man No Way Home will create its own tier. It won't even be S. It'll be a new tier that gets created above, a new letter, a letter that was never even in the alphabet. It comes from the multiverse.
My guess for the movie is that it's going to be S tier. It's going to be S tier for a lot of nostalgia, I know that Disney did not really want to do this, and they were really hesitant on it, and Sony also, they've really been clashing with, rights and stuff, but It's gonna be great. I mean, I'm glad that it's happening, and I don't know.
I feel like Sony's like giving shit, like nostalgic shit. So it's like it's good just for the nostalgia, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then Marvel is taking it and filtering it into a good story and getting like diamonds out of it. You know.
Yeah,
That's what
I think the only issues that we're gonna have is gonna be like hard nitpicking. I mean, with everyone coming together, there's no way that this movie is gonna be bad.
I think my biggest thing is I'm gonna want it to touch on, like, you know, like what's his name? When fucking Tobey Maguire shows up and he helps Tom Holland or whatever, and then he just leaves and it's like, well, wait, bro, what happened to your Aunt May? What happened to Mary Jane?
Right, we want to see,
this? And he has no reason to tell Tom Holland that. So it's gonna be like it's probably not gonna come up because he's like, hey, my Aunt May is doing good. It's like I didn't fucking ask, bro. You know, I don't care.
I want to see.
Not gonna ask.
I don't want to see if they do talk about stuff like that. I don't want to see shit that we've already seen. Yeah. I don't want to see my Uncle Ben. I want to see real life advice on to Tom Holland. I want to see new things. I don't want a recap of all the Spider-Man movies in this new Spider-Man movie is what I'm trying to say, basically.
Like, yeah, I want new information about where their characters have been.
Right, like what's happened in this fucking 10, 15, 20-year gap? What's going on?
Yeah, we could debate this movie forever. I mean, all the different possibilities, because, like, is it even going to take place, like, right after? I was trying. I guess it's pretty stupid, but I was gonna see, is this actress? She's not alive where she could be in this. There's no way that she's alive where she could show up. What is her name?
Just click on her name.
It's gonna be sad now. Oh, maybe she is alive. I'm gonna end the video on a really sad note. Born. She's still alive.
94.
That's nuts. That is crazy. Well, dude, if she lived that long, she has to make an appearance.
Just a quick cameo.
She has to.
It was just her spouse who died a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, man, they got to get her back then. If she, wow. All right, well, we didn't end it on a sad note after all. Okay, so. All right, let us know what your rankings of the movies are, and
if it isn't Spider-Man 2, I want to know why.
Yep. And if this is after No Way Home comes out, then hopefully No Way Home is number one. Oh, and most importantly, let us know how the audio is.
Oh, yeah.